I'll be back. Just getting a feel for it. I'll be back in a few weeks. See how the Tetris works.
Over the course of 18 days, I traveled just over 7,000 miles across 3 time zones, 2 countries, and 9 states.
Winter storm? I don't know what. Middle of the road.
Capturing some of the most incredible footage I've ever gotten for this channel and making some of my favorite music I've made in a long time for a project with one of my best friends, all so I could come home and do this. Here's my question. Is this video art? 3 weeks. 3 weeks of my life I have now spent going through countless versions of terabytes worth of footage and assets, trying to turn this into anything even remotely worth watching. And I can't do it. I don't know how. Originally, my intention for this video was simple. I was gonna make a little mini documentary about the process of co-shooting and co-scoring a documentary, all out of a van and musty hotel rooms, and I talked myself into this being this grand idea that so many people were gonna enjoy, but knowing the numbers and knowing all the things behind the scenes, it just became more and more clear to me each day of this trip that this was just a bad idea. Most people simply don't care, and they don't want to watch you talk about how you made music for 20 minutes. They mostly just want to be entertained.
Sorry to brush everyone, it's just our safety.
And that's the hard part about this, is going through an experience like this while simultaneously knowing to be present and live in the moment, and understanding that the sum of it all just equals content. Would you mind getting a picture of me standing, though?
Yeah.
And I think that's the question that all this has raised for me. Does art still exist in the age of content? I think by now we all understand that the modern currency on any of these sorts of platforms is simply attention and time. I think that's part of the ultimate challenge for artists, is understanding that anymore the nature of the platforms that are going to serve your art is what forces a sort of censorship onto the idea to serve the algorithm and this attention economy. And I think this is the struggle a lot of artists face, and the wall I think myself and a lot of other creators, especially on YouTube, have hit lately, is that these platforms are not designed to allow you to express yourselves. It's kind of the unspoken fact that the democratization of self-expression is what turned everything into a competition.
Just like,
I think we all know what art is, or at least we like to argue that we know what it is. It's an interestingly framed shot. It's the way that the light hits someone's face. It's a dinner menu layout. It's a web design. It's a flower arrangement. It's whatever you want it to be, and it's our intention to transform something into a work of art. Whereas content is something maybe a bit more spur of the moment. It's not necessarily as impactful and meaningful. And maybe that's the truth, is that art and content do exist in this sort of binary form. One exists and the other exists, and they both are separate things. But that's also maybe the hardest part of what makes all of this so difficult. I've thought about this a lot, and the only answer I could seem to find is that they exist in this sort of quantum superposition, because it really comes down to the observer's intention.
wouldn't say educated. I mean, yeah.
We as artists have our own intentions when we create something, and we know that what we're creating is a work of art, but because it's thrown onto these platforms where it's consumed side by side with content, it's really down to the viewer and the interaction that determines whether or not something is art or content. Because if you go on Instagram and see a photo from your favorite photographer, that is art, whereas the photo of a cat doing something is just content because your cousin Becky took it. Yeah, this is wild. This place is a dump. How's that looking? Cool. Damn. This way. Dude, that is wild. See? I think where this all fell apart for me was a discussion I had with someone where what they kept emphasizing to me was that I'm doing too much and I'm trying too hard. It's just a YouTube video. And every part of me hates everything about that idea. And I think that's the pressure we're all stuck with as creators, is designing art that works like content to be consumed on these platforms, that's easily repeatable and can be rapidly produced. If I wanted to win the YouTube game, I could just sit here making free plugin videos every week or something like that, but what's the point in doing that? All this platform stuff has just become such a double-edged sword for all artists, I think, across all mediums, because on the one hand, there is no way to have this daily process that's repeatable with guaranteed results, but at the same time, these platforms encourage that, and they force you to have a higher output, and it maybe opens up the chances that something is going to take off. And I think that's part of the modern nature of what a lot of artists do, is create something to serve these algorithms in an attempt to go viral, and that in and of itself maybe could be argued as what the most modern form of art is. I think this is why a lot of the future of art, at least in my mind, becomes patronized. It's more of a future where it's going to be direct to the consumer, because art stems from the observer's intention with that interaction and engagement. It doesn't necessarily stem from the work itself. Maybe this is the last wave of what art used to be, and we're just stepping into this new frontier that's entirely unknown, and maybe I'm just part of the crusty old curmudgeon club, and I just can't keep up. And I don't know if I'm okay with accepting that or not. Maybe that's why all artists end up becoming content creators anymore, at least to some degree, because the platform really dictates the art. And as an artist, you put something on the platform because that's the only way to do anything. And once you find these things that work, that gives you your formula that's repeatable and drives engagement and whatever. And I think that's why we've seen such a rise in stuff like the really lazy reaction content, or I think the more than observable trend of the TikTokification of music, and this craze to just make something work in order to suit that platform. It seems like everything anymore, especially on platforms like this, is just designed to repost and rehash and drive engagement, and especially by basing the authority of the subject on someone else's thing. It's that effect of, check out the top 10 bass lines of all time. I didn't write any of them, but I'm going to talk about them because you're interested in them, because you want to find a repeatable formula that you could use to get off this idea that you're never going to be anything, because if you just follow these 5 easy things and truly understand the meaning of mixolydian, then you're going to be a real musician. And I guess maybe art is just everything that exists to go against that grain. It's something that is daring, and it's only daring by just being original and doing your own thing rather than reacting or trend jacking or trying to just throw off the authority on someone else and inserting your face into the frame every 6 seconds. Maybe that's the existential condition of the modern artist, is that I'm just so fucking tired of trying to put everything I can into what I do, knowing that having a passion is what's the crime anymore, because you're still going to be subject to that same judgment, and no matter how much of your heart and soul you pour into something, it's just as disposable as literally everything else on that given platform. It's all just one click or one swipe away. But I think that's what still drives me to do everything. There's just so much fun to be had in answering that what if, and I still want that challenge. At least I think. Even with this project, it was, what if this doesn't work out, and what if I try to do something entirely different? What if I upend every expectation I had and just roll with it and see what comes out the other end? Because I think that is what the pursuit of art really is.
Maybe this is the real root of why we're experiencing the great quiet quitting of everything. I think artists, especially artists that pursue work in that pure nature, are tired of doing this whole circus monkey act and knowing that no matter your intention behind something, you're just subject to playing by the rules, but it's a game of chess where the rules change every 3 moves. I think the ugly truth is that these algorithms and platforms, even if it's not their exact intention, exist to continue to perpetuate this divisiveness between real artists and content creators. And no matter what, if you are a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or a Twitch streamer or whatever, that's all you're ever going to be. And there is no pure form of that art anymore, and I think that's the thing we don't want to face. We all want to feel like one day we're going to break that mold and we're going to break through, but then you try, you fall subject to the same game, and then you realize that once you hit that 0.0001% of whatever, you're doing the exact same thing, and then you're stuck maybe farther back than you were when you started, or maybe in a place you never intended to be. I don't know anyone that signed up for any of this and went, man, I would love to wake up and think about how I'm gonna turn everything I do into a product today. The other thing is that you can't ever show the other side of any of this, because as soon as you try to do something real and expressive and personal, it just becomes pretentious and you're just whining, or you're not really doing a good job because you're not serving why I came to you for this interaction. And I think that's the hard part about art that anyone who wants to be an artist has to learn to accept, is that you dictate the rules. If I was to ask what video everyone wants to see, I would just be making the same video over and over again. People didn't know that they wanted to see me make that video though until I made it the first time. And that's the game, is you just keep trudging forward regardless of all of this to do your thing. And that's going to be the hardest possible way of doing any of this. But maybe that's the only true path forward to retain art against content. I think what we do as artists is the same thing we do as consumers of art. We look for that escape from the overwhelming banality of everything. We're trying to turn moments and ideas into something bigger than they truly are, because that's how it feels. It is that inescapable need to express something so profound and personal, and in that overlap of everything that makes you you. And some people are just going to hate that regardless, and a lot of people are going to hate it because they just weren't willing to try. Maybe the role of the modern artist is to simply fill these platforms and things with stuff that people engage with. And that's the frustrating truth of it all, is
there are no rules, all options are equally plausible, and it comes down to just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. But maybe that's also the upside, because since all options are open and all things are essentially created equal, you have every opportunity to try the purest version of what you want to do, because you dictate what the thing is to begin with. So, was this video art? To tell you the truth, I don't know that I really give a shit anymore, because I think this is the point where I'm done playing this fucking game. And I think a lot of us are. And to tell you the truth, I've been done playing it for a long time. That's why this channel has become whatever this is. And regardless of what everyone thinks, I'm doing all this for one person, because the only opinion about my work that matters to me is mine and whether I'm happy with it. And regardless of what I think of it, this video is going to go out, as is the next one, and someone on Reddit's going to start a thread about it and bitching about me, and someone on VI Control is going to call me a sellout, and someone's going to email me telling me they're going to kill my dogs, and then the next video is going to come out and the same thing's going to repeat. But in the meantime, 2, 3, 4, 500,000 people are going to enjoy it and get value out of it. And on the performance aspect, maybe that's why I do this. But at the end of the day, that can't be the only reason I do this, or I'm going to drive myself insane. And maybe this is the start of a new chapter. Maybe it's more of the same. But I'm just going to do whatever I want. And that's okay. Was this video art? Am I even really an artist anymore, or am I just another fucking YouTuber? I don't know, and I think that's an impossible question to answer. And in the meantime, I think I'm just going to be done with this now and move on to making whatever I think is important to make next. What about you? How are you feeling on your odds of memory cards?
Not been good.
Don loves having his picture taken. He's very good at posing.
He knows he's handsome.
Wow, handsome boy.
It smells pretty.
Yeah, life in a lava lamp. Smells like I'm living in a candle.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
When you described them, I was imagining some big dogs, and then they came out these little cuties.
Hi, how are you?
So, if you want to know what the hum sometimes sounds like, there, like that.
Dog fighting? If we get a trace on this phone, how you gonna like that? I'm gonna call and report this, because this is harassment on the phone. So we're not gonna put up with. What did you say? Dog fighting? Treating.
Yeah, honestly, if you lob it, it goes in. Like, if you're just like, whoa! There you go. Hey!
Absolute hardest to bring your loved ones back to you, dead or alive.
That rock was there for like 3 million years. And now it's not.
Now we just have to find the van keys.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Is that
That's
what's happening right now?
yeah. This is I mean, I would say this is less than ideal.
Pecan Sandies from Applebee's is a type of brownie that is lighter colored, and it's kind of a maple bar mixed with vanilla, mixed with pecan, and then you have a mapley butter syrupy type of thing that it's hot and you pour it on it in the skillet. And it's fucking delicious. It's really good. I recommend. If you ever find yourself at an Applebee's, that's what you should definitely get for dessert. They have these little like brownie slurper things too, but those are fucking garbage. Don't get those. You want the pecan sandy. It's great. Get on your birthday. Yeah, get out of prison. Go to get a pecan sandy. Your mom dies in a car accident. After I deem the body, go get a pecan sandy. Make you feel better. Well, you didn't want to go to a cave, So we're not at a cave. You happy? Whoop.